Pastor Stan, thanks for joining me today. First, are you and Cammie experiencing some pressure?
Yeah, we're experiencing a variety of pressure. I think one of the biggest pressures is with having so much time at home, keeping my face out of the refrigerator.
Yeah.
It would be really easy with so much spare time to kind of console ourselves with all of our favorite comfort food, but we're trying not to do that. But I think in reality, there are some very real pressures that we feel. One is as a leader, knowing how to lead well in this time. We're responsible for a large group of people that we love and appreciate, and so we want to do what's best for them. I think for us, Cammie is self-employed, so we've asked the question: how might this affect what she does? So there's a pressure there, and as we think about our children, our oldest son is a business owner, and so it's had some effect on his business. So there's a pressure as a parent to want to make sure that they're cared for, that they're taken care of. Our younger son's in a new career, and he was one of the last hired. And so we worry about, and I said it, worry, there's a pressure that will he be okay? So there's a reality of pressures that we feel.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I want the congregation to know that there's pressures. Just because we're pastors doesn't mean like we don't have the pressure. No, there's real pressures that we're navigating, just like the folks that we're leading's navigating.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we talked about how there's a difference between being concerned and being worried. We don't want to be worried. We want to be though concerned. So out of concern, what are a couple steps of action, kind of proactive steps that Cammie and yourself have taken to deal with some of these pressures? Well,
it's interesting. Just as the pandemic was becoming real, this is a real thing. I had the opportunity to talk to a medical professional, and I asked him, I said, what are your thoughts? How are you approaching this pandemic as a medical professional? And he said, I am conservatively concerned. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. And he began to explain it. And I thought, this man has a healthy concern for what's going on. I confess that initially when it began, we were at peace. And then as we began to allow ourselves to be overwhelmed with so many news reports, that's when anxiety set in. And then we began to worry. But thankfully, we pulled back and we said, we're going to have a healthy concern. We're not going to worry, because we remember what Jesus said, and you've referred to this. Jesus said, don't worry about your life. And he goes on to say, it absolutely adds no value whatsoever. And so when we think about that, if I look back at past experiences, when I've allowed myself to worry, it has added no benefit whatsoever.
Right.
I began to ask a lot of what-if questions that I have no way of being able to answer. And so in the midst of that, if I concentrate on those what-if questions, I'm headed down a wrong path. So we've made the choice that we're going to be concerned, and I think it's okay to be concerned, but we're going to do what Jesus said. We're not going to worry. He's got our life in his control. Paul goes on to say, don't worry about anything, but pray about everything. And so that's really how we've tried to approach this situation.
Awesome. Yeah, because I think what we would want to encourage the congregants to is we should be concerned. We should be taking positive steps of action to keep our families safe, thinking forward, planning. I think all of that is wise. But again, we don't want to give in to that worry that just drains us of emotional energy. Well, if you were to give the Grace Covenant folks like one point of advice concerning how do we confront this pressure of worry, what would your point of advice be?
Well, I would say we have to keep our focus in the right place, and that's our focus is on God.
Right.
There is a lot of information that's coming out, and I don't think most of us have the ability to decipher that, even in our best attempts, because it's all conflicting messages. And so instead of concentrating on the news and trying to decipher it, we have to focus on God, and we recall his faithfulness to us in the past. And we remember that he has been faithful. The word tells us that his mercies are new every morning.
Right.
He's going to continue to be faithful. So we don't have to worry because God's already got it under control. And so when we can center ourselves, we can focus ourselves heavenward and let that be where we receive all of the information, all of the discernment, then I think we're in a good place.
Yeah. What a great point of advice. The only thing I would add to that is we have to consistently do that daily.
Daily, yes.
It's not just like, okay, we're going to do this one time. No, it's consistently keeping our focus on God.
Yeah, you can't just do it on Monday morning and think that'll get you through the
Right.
week, because every day confronts us with something new.
Yeah, it's really coming to that 24/7 dependency
Right.
of keeping our focus on God. Well, thank you, Stan, for your insight. Thanks for joining us
Sure thing.
here today.
Thank you.